Hello, a very good evening ladies and gentlemen, and welcome you all back to my channel TRWDK. The main aim of this channel is to guide all the medical professionals and the skilled professionals who would like to consider other countries as an option to work in, acquire education from, or settlement, etc. So before we move forward with this video, I would kindly, it's my humble request guys that if you're new to the channel, kindly do subscribe so that weekly content is more available to you. So today, moving on, we're going to talk about a very, very important country in relation to dentistry, which is the USA. Now, I do agree that it took me a lot of time to make this video as well. And one of the main reasons behind this procrastination was that I actually know a lot of dentists who are my friends who graduated with me and are settled in the USA. They got married there, etc. And whenever I used to ask them that, how is the procedure or how did you, do it? So most of them actually did not opt for practicing dentistry in the USA. And whenever I used to ask them, the main reason why most of them used to say was that it is extremely complicated, extremely difficult. It's a very long process to the extent that they can't really grasp their head around what is the first step, what is the second, what is the third. So they didn't just try, they didn't try it at all. So they opted out of it and tried other, other opportunities. So that is absolutely fine. But then I also think that if we try and it doesn't work out, that's one thing, but not trying at all, thinking that it's complicated, that's a different thing. And I personally think that it is complicated only because it is confusing. We can't understand the main tips, main procedure. So in this video, of course, I have jotted down the step-by-step procedure as simplified, as brief, to the point as possible, so that everybody understand the concept first of how to become a dentist, non-EU dentist can practice in the USA. All right, guys, so now let's start with the procedure to become a dentist in the USA. Now, I'm starting by, first of all, talking about the main bullet points, which are concise, brief, to the point, and the best thing is so that they can cover all the main aspects so that the concept is clear in everyone's head, that what exactly is the procedure. Because if I talk about too many details, it's going to get very confusing. So let me talk about the main steps first, and after that I'm going to go in detail. So the main steps are mentioned right here on the video as well, and with that I'm going to talk about it as well right now. So first, what we have to do is we need a dent pin. Now this is basically a verification code, and you can just say this is something that you need for your dental journey. For your dental journey in the USA, you need this code. It's more of like your verification code. So first you have to get a code. How will you get the code? We're going to discuss that soon. Okay, this is the first step. Step number 2, we need to get our degrees evaluated. Now, we do something very similar for the United Kingdom as well, for NARIC. When we give the degree for the NARIC certificate, that's kind of like an evaluation. More or less, it's the same thing here. We give our degree for evaluation. And the main reason why we do that for the evaluation is to change our percentage score into a GPA. Because in many countries, we have a percentage score. So this is the second point. Now, the first was the dent pin. The second was the evaluation. Right after that, we have to give the exam. Now, what is the procedure, how to apply, how to give the exam? We're going to discuss that more in detail later. But then the third step is that we have to give an exam. Moving on, right after your test is done, the exam is done, we need to actually give the TOEFL exam as well. Now, TOEFL is actually needed because you have to get in a university, because the main aim is to get in a university for training. And whatever we did up till now, the main aim was to get in a university. So after this, we have to give the TOEFL exam. And once that is done, you have, let's just recap one more time. You have the dent pin, you have your degree evaluation, you've given the exam, you've passed it, you have done the TOEFL. You have all of the necessary things needed. Now you have to apply for, You have to apply for a university where you can get in for your dental training. The duration is going to be approximately 2 years, and that's after which, this is like more or less this second last step. Now you have to apply. How to apply, the main procedure we're going to discuss soon. And right after applying to that, it is competitive. I'm not saying it's not. That's what I've heard from everybody, but of course it is doable. It can still be managed. There are a lot of tips and tricks that we can discuss later about it, but of course it's doable. And a bunch of documents would be needed that we will discuss as well on how to apply for the training. And right after we are done with that, usually when we are selected, what I've heard is that you have an interview as well, and you have a bench test as well, depending upon your scores in the exam or scores in the TOEFL exam, etc. And when you have the bench test, or when you have the interview first, and then the bench test, in which they ask you general questions about dentistry and your purpose, etc. The bench test is more like you have to do cavity preparations, crown preparations, etc. And once that all is done, then your work is done, you have gotten in a school, and from there you're going to graduate as a dentist. So this is actually the entire procedure. So I hope that it is easier to understand. It is mentioned right here. Please read it one more time just to grasp your head about how to go about it. And now that we're done with the main points, let's get into more details of each and every point. So let's go. All right, so now we're going to talk more in detail about all the steps that we mentioned before. So let's start with the first one. First, we talked about a dent pin, that we need a dent pin in order to, which is a verification number, and that would help us in our journey ahead. So how do we make a dent pin? First, what we have to do is we have to go to the ADA website, which is the American Dental Association website. There we have to make an account, register ourselves, and get a dent pin. And this is absolutely free. So once we get the unique ID, which is called dent pin, we are good to go. Now, this is the first. Now, second, we spoke about the evaluation of our degree. Now, there are two websites. One is the ECE and one is the WES. Any one of them you can go. Now, once you go there, what would they need? They would need your medical degree, your transcript, and a bunch of other documents that they have mentioned. For example, like we mentioned before, degree, transcript, and your house job certificates, etc. And of course, other work experiences they might ask as well. This would require fees. The fees is mentioned. The fees keeps on changing, so I'm not mentioning it exact right now. But it does require fees. And right after that, you actually get your evaluation done. Now, the main aim of the evaluation is because usually in our countries, we have a percentage score. But there, they need a GPA. So basically, it's converted from, our score is converted from percentage to the GPA. And this is why evaluation is very important. So the first step is done and the second step is done. Now comes the third step, which is to give the exam. So exam, of course, needs, we have to apply for that, and there's a procedure to apply for the exam. So now we're going to talk about the procedure. All right, so we were talking about the exam. So the procedure to apply for the exam is basically that you have to go to a certain website, which is mentioned right here, which is the Joint Commission of National Dental Examinations, or JCNPE. I'm sorry, I couldn't memorize that, so I had to write it down. So we have to go to that website first, and we have to register ourselves that we can give the exam. So of course, there are a lot of centers, and we can of course choose a center through it. The website mentioned right here for the center as well. So right after we select the center, we are registered for the exam and we can give it. And of course, the exam also costs approximately $800 is what I've heard. And that exam is actually very important for the next step. So once you've taken that exam, the exam is basically, the exam, I don't know much about it in general, which I would cover a video in the future. But in general, it is a 2-day exam. And it is a bunch of, I think, 500 questions, as what I've heard. But it is a 2-day exam. And the passing percentage is approximately 79 to 80% above you need to get in order to pass the exam. So this is a brief intro about the exam, but of course I will discuss the exam more in my future videos. So this all is done. Now, the first step was the dent pin. We've done with that evaluation, we are done, and the exam we have given and passed it. So right after that, we give the TOEFL exam. Now, TOEFL exam is very important because we need that to apply for foreign training, which is the main aim that all the non-EU dentists have to go through, which is to apply for foreign training of 2 years. And all of this procedure was basically to get to that level. So we have to apply. Once the TOEFL is done and the score we get is above 100, which is needed, we can apply for the dental schools there. Now coming to the most important topic of how to apply in a dental school for foreign training, for the foreign dentists for dental training. So what we have to do is we have to go to a website, which is the INBDE platform website. It is mentioned right over here. This platform is basically how you have to, where you have to go to in order to apply for the universities. Now, one important thing, yes, I have heard it's very competitive, especially when you are, like, if you're already there for example, you are a spouse of an American citizen or you have permanent residency, it's different. But if you do not have any of them, then of course it's more difficult to get in. But of course, we all have to try our best because there's destiny, there's prayers, there's luck. You never know where the opportunity, is, and how lucky you can get. So we all have to try for it. But it is a little difficult because it's very competitive, as what I've heard. But of course, we're going to keep on trying. So once we apply there are going to be a bunch of documents that they will ask us. The documents I mentioned right here, a few of them, or most of them actually. We have to submit these documents in order to apply for the university. Now, depending on the scores and everything, many times I've also heard that right after this, you will get an interview. You need to give an interview, and after the interview there's also going to be a test, which is, I think, a bench test it's called. And in this test what happens is that you have to do the usual cavity preparations, crown preparations, etc. And in the interview usually they ask a little bit about dentistry, your purpose of why you want to pursue dentistry in USA, etc. So once you have applied, once the interview is cleared and the bench test is cleared, you are good to go, and you're going to get admission in a university or in a dental school for training. And after 2 years, of course, you're good to go. So this is actually the entire procedure, the step-by-step procedure and of course it's to the point. I did not get into too many details because I did not want to complicate this video further. But these are this is everything that you need to understand how to work as a dentist in the USA and get admission. So this is what it's all about. All right, now talking about the costs, because when it comes to America, we always have to talk about the cost when it comes to the dental exams there. So yes, it is very expensive, and most of the time a loan is needed for it. Now, when you are there, you can actually apply for the loan, but if you're already a citizen, or you are a citizen, a spouse of a citizen, or you have permanent residency, of course it's easy to get a loan. But if you are not any of the above, and you are normally a non-EU person going there, of course getting a loan is extremely difficult. But if you already have any relatives there who are citizens, I've heard that through their sponsorship, it is possible to get a loan. They have to be, the guarantor is what we call it. So this is one procedure of getting a loan from USA. And because of course the dental school is very expensive, and of course before that we need the visa and everything to go then give the exam. So these things are expensive, but we need the right strategy, and of course a loan more or less would be needed. So this is something we all need to keep in mind when it comes to dentistry in the USA. Alright, so with that I would like to conclude this video. Thank you everyone for loving my content, because I could see the views increasing day by day, and the messages that everybody is doing on Instagram and on my Gmail. Thank you very, very much. And of course, because many people asked me about my Facebook also through the emails, I would like to say that I have opened a Facebook page. It is very new, but it is by the same name, TR.DK. I would kind of like everybody to go and check that out. And of course, many are suggesting me TikTok, which I was a bit reluctant, however, but it would be good for the some of the lifestyle videos and some of the important lessons and some of the important experiences that I've had. So of course on TikTok also it's by the same name, TR.DK. So kindly do check that out as well. And other than that, thank you very much for all of your emails and your messages, and for loving my content, because that motivates me into making more. And of course, guys, if you have any other question, curious, you're more than welcome to message me on my Instagram, on my Facebook page also now. But on Instagram, I'm the most active. So on Instagram or on my Gmail. And having said that, I wish you all a lovely week, and take care of yourselves. Thank you very much.